pag-aaralan natin ay tungkol sa sum of finite and infinite geometric series. Alamin muna natin ang dalawang uri ng geometric sequence. Una ay ang tinatawag nating finite sequence. It contains a finite number of terms, or in other words, a limited number of terms which can be counted. So, halimbawa, 1, 3, 9, 27, 81. So, meron tayong 5 terms. So, ibig sabihin, nabibilang natin. Kaya ang tawag sa kanya ay finite sequence. Ang ikalawang type ay tinatawag na infinite sequence. So, it contains an infinite number of terms. Terms continue without end, which cannot be counted. So, example, 1, 3, 9, 27, and so on and so forth. So, ang ellipsis ay ang symbol na ang isang sequence ay infinite or hindi natin alam kung ano po ang katapusan. So, hindi natin kayang bilangin kung ilang terms ang meron sa sequence na ito. A geometric series is the indicated sum of the terms of a geometric sequence. So, kapag finite ang ating geometric series, pwede tayong mamili sa dalawang formulang ito. So, itong first formula natin, which is S sub n is equal to A sub 1 times the quantity of 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. Or yung pangalawa naman, S sub n is equal to A sub 1 minus A sub n times r all over 1 minus r. So, kapag alam natin yung last term, pwede natin gamitin itong ikalawang formula. Kasi yung A sub n represents the last term. Okay? So, ginagamit ang formulang ito kapag ang r or yung common ratio natin is not equal to 1. So, sa formula natin, A sub 1 means the first term, r is the common ratio, n is the number of terms. Example number 1. Find the sum of the first 7 terms in a geometric sequence if the first term is 1 and the common ratio is 2. So, ang pinapahanap is the sum of the first 7. So, that is represented by S sub 7. So, dahil alam natin yung bilang ng terms, so this is a finite geometric sequence. So, gagamitin natin yung first formula dahil hindi naman binigay yung last term. So, the formula will be S sub n is equal to A sub 1 times the quantity of 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. So, ang given, yung ating first term, which is 1, yung common ratio is 2. Ito po. Okay? And then, substitute natin sa formula. So, n will become 7. Then, the first term will become 1. Then, times the quantity of 1 minus yung r natin is 2. Then, yung n natin is 7. All over 1. Okay, 1 minus yung r natin is 2. Okay, then, ang una nating maaayos ay yung ating exponent. So, yung value ng 2 to the 7th muna. And that is 128. So, kakopihin lang natin yung iba. And then, sunod naman, isusubtract natin itong 1 minus 2. So, that will become negative 1. Ganon din yung 1 minus 128. So, that is negative 127. Then, copy 1. And then, we can multiply 1 and negative 127. And that is equal to negative 127 divided by negative 1. The answer is positive 127. So, this is the sum of the first 7 terms. Example number 2. What is the sum of the first 7 terms of 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus and so on and so forth? So, kahit na may and so on and so forth tayo, binanggit naman dito ng pinapahanap sa atin ay yung sum ng first 7 terms. So, alam natin yung ating bilang ng terms. So, this is still a finite sequence. So, kapag sinulat natin talaga yung hinihingi, that is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So, this is a repeated addition. So, pwede natin siyang gawing multiplication. So, dahil ang ating ratio ay 1, second term divided by the first term, so that is equal to 1, hindi natin gagamitin yung formula kanina na ibinigay sa finite sequence. So, ang ibig sabihin dito is 7 3. So, kapag isusulat natin yung 7 3, that is 7 times 3. So, meaning, the sum of the first 7 terms, or that is S sub 7, is equal to 7 times 3. which is 21. So, iyan ang sum ng first 7 terms of our given. Example number 3. What is the sum of the first 8 terms of 5 minus 5 plus 5 minus 5 and so on and so forth? So, kapag sinulat natin yung tinatanong sa atin, that is first 8 terms daw. So, this is the given. Kapag tinignan natin yung first term at saka yung second term, 5 minus 5, that is equal to 0. So, ganun din sa third tsaka fourth, sa fifth at saka sixth, sa 7 tsaka sa 8. So, kung mapapansin nyo, dahil additive inverse ng bawat isa yung ating magkasunod na term, ang sagot ay laging 0. So, ang sum ng ating first 8 terms ay equal to 0. So, nangyayari pong nagiging 0 yung sagot kapag even number yung bilang ng terms at additive inverse ng isa't isa yung magkasunod na term. Example number 5. What is the sum of the first 7 terms of 5 minus 5 plus 5 minus 5 and so on and so forth? So, finite sequence uli ito dahil sinabi first 7 terms. So, kapag sinulat natin yung first 7 terms ng ating given, ganito yon. So, kung mapapansin natin, additive inverse uli ng isa't isa yung magkasunod na term. Okay? So, this will become 0. Ito ring third tsaka fourth is equal to 0. 5th and 6th is 0. At natitira po yung first term. So, ang sagot natin ay yung ating first term. So, therefore, the sum of the first 7 terms is equal to 5, which is the first term. Ayan. So, nangyayari naman yun na first term ang sagot kapag ang bilang ng terms ay odd number. So, 7, 9, mga ganun, 219, 215 terms, mga ganun. So, and then, yung dalawang magkasunod na terms ay yung additive inverse ng isa't isa. At ang ratio nila should be negative 1. Para naman sa sum of infinite geometric sequence, ang formulang gagamitin natin is sum of infinity is equal to a sub 1 or the first term all over 1 minus r, where r is the common ratio. So, ginagamit ito kapag yung absolute value ng ating common ratio is less than 1. So, kapag naman yung ating absolute value ng common ratio is greater than or equal to 1, ito po yung symbol niya, the infinite series cannot be determined. So, ang sagot po dun ay cannot be determined. Say for example, kapag pinahanap yung sum ng 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 and so on and so forth, so hindi binanggit kung ilang terms lahat-lahat iyon, ang ratio natin dito, common ratio is 1. And the answer is cannot be determined. Next, kapag meron naman tayong 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16, and so on and so forth. So, hindi binanggit kung ilang terms. So, meaning this is also an infinite geometric sequence. Kung mapapansin natin, ang ratio niyan is 2. Pero dahil hindi natin alam kung ano ang last term niya, ang sagot din ng sum nito ay cannot be determined. Example number 6. Find the sum of the terms of geometric sequence 16, negative 8, 4, negative 2, and so on and so forth. So, this is an example of infinite sequence kasi hindi binigay kung ilang terms ang pinag-uusapan. So, ang ipinapahanap sa atin is sum of infinity. So, using the formula, sum of infinity is equal to first term all over 1 minus the common ratio. So, given sa ating problem, yung first term which is 16, and then the common ratio is negative 1/2. So, kapag dinivide natin yung second term na negative 8 by our first term na 16, ang kanilang greatest common factor ay 8. So, negative 8 divided by 8 is negative 1. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So, that is negative 1/2. Then, isubstitute na natin sa ating formula. So, sum of infinity is equal to the first term, which is 16, all over 1 minus negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 is our common ratio. And then, we can rename 1 as 2 over 2 dahil kailangan natin, ang denominator niya rin ay 2 para maisubtract natin sa 1/2. Okay? So, 2 over 2 is the same as 1. Okay. And then, following the rule in subtracting integers, we're going to change the sign of the subtrahend. So, yung negative 1/2 will become positive. So, this is positive 1/2. and then proceed to addition. So, kapag inad natin yung 2 plus positive 1, yung denominator natin will become 3 over 2. So, copy lang yung 2 denominator. So, magiging siyang 16 all over 3 over 2. And then, kapag nagdi-divide ng fraction, we need to get the reciprocal of the denominator. So, i-reciprocal natin, kukunin natin yung reciprocal ni 3 over 2, which is 2 over 3. So, we're going to have 16 times 2 is 32. Then, ang denominator ni 16 ay 1. So, 1 times 3 is 3. So, therefore, the sum of infinity is equal to 32 over 3. Or, kapag dinivide natin yung 32 by 3, that is equal to 10.6666. So, tuloy-tuloy yung 6 natin. Kaya po siya may venculum sa taas. Last example. A pendulum swings exactly 60% of its previous distance. If the initial distance reached by a pendulum is 30 inches, how far the pendulum travels before it rests? So, ito ay isang halimbawa rin ng infinite geometric sequence. So, ang tinatanong sa atin ay yung sum ng infinity. So, ang sequence mula sa problem na ito ay 30 yung first term, then yung 60% ng 30, so that is 30 times 0.60, that is 18. And then, kapag kinuha din natin yung susunod na term, 18 times 0.60, that will be 10.8, and so on and so forth. So, para ma-solve natin yung sum ng infinite sequence na ito, we need to use the formula first term all over 1 minus the common ratio. So, ang first term natin ay yung 30 inches. Then, yung common ratio natin is yung minultiply natin sa ating first term, which is 0.60. So, yung minultiply natin sa bawat term. So, substituting from the formula, first term is 30 all over 1 minus our common ratio is 0.60. So, yung denominator natin will become 0.40. So, 30 divided by 0.40, that is equal to 75. So, 75 inches. Therefore, the pendulum traveled 75 inches before it comes to rest.